Good evening once again. Good evening once again. Today is our day 24 of this data analytics bootcamp. As always, we are going to start with a recap on the 23. So yesterday we talked about its blank function, and we said its blank function is used to indicate whether a particular whether a particular cell is empty or not. So it's just used to indicate as far as there is data inside the cell, it will display false. So there is a little bit technique that I want to add on yesterday's class. You see, for this is blank. Let's say for instance, I have a data here. So I want to know if the data is empty or not. I will say it's blank. Can you see my screen? You see it has displayed false because my screen is because my cell is not empty. So now what I want to add on this, I will merge this function with an if statement. Let me merge it with an if statement, and let's see what it will give us. So since it has already displayed false, I will say if, then I will add my is blank function. So now if is true, if my function is true, I will say this cell is empty. Then if it is false, I will say this cell is not empty. This cell is empty. So you see, instead of it to be showing me false, 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 now if the cell is empty, if the cell is not empty, it will say, it would just display the status here. It will say this cell is not empty. But let me just delete this, for instance. You see it has displayed that this cell is empty. So that's just the little thing I had wanted to add. So talking about today's function, we said we are going to talk about if arrow. So if arrow is used to detect whenever there is arrow, how can I handle the arrow I have? For instance, I have an arrow in computing my cells. Maybe I have two cells, I want to compute them. For instance, here, if I want to know the total amount I need to be paid, I will calculate it by saying amount multiplied by year for each and every salesman. So if I spent, for instance, 3 years, and I am paying, and they are paying me 50,000 in a month, so they will say 50,000 times 3, which is equals to what? 150. So now, what I will say now, I will add 3. I will just put 3 here. So you see this thing, it automatically multiplied by 3. You understand? But if in any case, I mistakenly add a wrong data type, maybe I wrote A. For instance, instead of me to write 3, I just mistakenly write A. So you see it will be giving me value. So once you are using Excel, you will be used to this. You will see sometimes you run a function, it will give you value, or ref, or na. So how are you going to handle that? In whatsoever case, if you have error, if you have any error in your in your computations, how are you going to handle that? Is so that it will just display empty in the place, or you want it to display something that maybe the data types is invalid or something else. So how are you going to handle that? So now I will say, before I write this function, I will say is equals to if arrow, you understand, then I will write my function. My function is what? D2 multiplied by C2. Then I will close my I will close my, okay, before I close, I will say value if arrow. This one is value if the function is not, if the function is right. That means if I say, if the number under the column of yes, sorry, if the data under the column of yes is a number, that is the data types is valid, and the data types inside the column of amount is also valid. So what am I going to display? It is going to display the function for me, that is amount multiplied by year. But if it is not correct, if there is error somewhere else, what do I want to display? Maybe I will say one of the data types is invalid. You see there, I will close. So you see it. Now, because I wrote A here, it will say one of the data types is invalid. Let me add A here also. You see it's saying one of the data types is invalid. But if I said, for instance, here I said 3, you see 3 is a number, so it will automatically multiply the amount versus a year. So even here, if I said, for instance, if I say 10, it will multiply automatically. Let me just change the data type to $sign. So you see it has automatically turned it. But whenever it is a number, or I would say maybe 3 years, you see it say one of the data types is invalid because the data type I'm supposed to use here is a number. I hope I'm communicating. Please indicate in the comment section if you are with me. Hello, are we there? Can you see my screen? Please indicate in the comment section. So are we together? Aha. So that's if arrow. So it handles arrow. Whenever there is arrow, it is going to handle your arrow. If there is any mistake, you put a wrong data type inside this place, or you put a wrong data types inside the computations, maybe it has displayed value, or it has been displaying NA, and you want to get rid of that one. So that's how you are going to handle it. And normally when you are creating a template, you understand, when you are creating a template, the best way to handle this error is to display empty whenever there is what you call, whenever there is an error in a given calculation, it should just display error. So sorry, it should just display an empty cell. Maybe it just display empty. Let me just get rid of this and say, so whenever there is error, I just don't want to see anything out. I just want it to be empty. So you see, wherever there is error, it will just show empty distance for me. And you see, let me just try writing. You see, it has just gave me an empty because my data types is invalid. So I hope I'm communicating. You see it. You see it here also. So is there any question? Today's function is not that big. This thing is as simple as it is. So if there is any question, please indicate in the questions comment section, or you can just raise your hand. Is there any question? So it seems like there is no question. It seems like there is no question. So maybe in the, okay, let me just check the comment section. Hello? Okay, someone is saying, how do you write empty? If it is empty, you see, for instance, this one, if it is empty, you just open the quote. You understand? You just open the quote and close the quote without writing anything. Just open the quote and close the quote without writing anything, and just hit enter. So if it is empty, it will just display empty. That's all. Is there any question?